What's up guys, it's Jess. Welcome back to my channel. Don't mind the squishmallow situation going on behind me, but if you do want them, they are for sale on my Mercari page. It is currently college decision season, and in today's video, I'm going to be talking about what to do if you're waitlisted or rejected. This information is going to be specifically for the University of Washington. However, I'm sure you can apply some general tips to any of the other schools you were applying to. First thing I'm going to talk about is who is eligible to appeal the decision. Any applicant that was denied, waitlisted, or had an incomplete application is able to appeal. Here is what all appeals include: a review of updated information, transcripts, an appeal statement, and they will re-review your original application. If you listed your first choice major as computer science or computer engineering or engineering in general, they will also reconsider you for direct admission. Before I get into the details on how to appeal, I want to be real with you guys, specifically talking about the University of Washington. And I'm saying this all because I love you and I want you to put your best foot forward towards your future. If you got waitlisted to the University of Washington, the college in general, and you hope to be in a major that is capacity constrained, regardless if it's easy capacity constrained or the most difficult capacity constrained major, you really need to consider your chances of getting into those majors, considering you didn't even get into the school. Now, I'm not trying to say this to discourage you, but I mentioned this in my Why You Shouldn't Go to the University of Washington video, and that is that I believe that college is the time for you to study what you actually want to study. And at the University of Washington, that is not guaranteed with capacity constrained majors, especially if you're going for one that is super competitive like any of the STEM ones. So just think that if your supporting materials on your application weren't good enough to get into the school in general, it's probably going to be even more difficult to get into that major that you want. If you're applying to an open major, you don't have to worry about this, but a lot of the majors at the University of Washington are capacity constrained. Here are some things to consider. If you are not super passionate about attending the University of Washington specifically, if it's not your first choice, if you're not thrilled and desperate to get in, there is no point in wasting any time trying to appeal that decision. Just to say that you got into the school? No. If you have no passion towards going to this school specifically, don't waste your time on an admissions appeal. First of all, the chances of being admitted after being waitlisted or rejected are extremely low. You have about a 1 in 20 chance. So if anybody has any chance of getting accepted into UW after you've been waitlisted or rejected, you best believe that they are the most passionate about attending the school. If you're not super passionate about attending the UW and you just want to go to college and you just want to study this specific major, go to a different school. If you are someone that likes the University of Washington, but their main priority is studying computer science, and you got waitlisted from the school in general, don't bother coming here. Now again, I'm not trying to say this to discourage you in any way or to bring you down. It's all with the intention of putting your best foot forward because I care about your future and I've been here for over 3 years, so I know what's up. If you really want to go to the University of Washington and you're waitlisted or rejected at first, and then after that review, you're also waitlisted or rejected again, take a gap year. Okay, so my camera just died and it takes hours to fully charge, so I'm going to try and figure out where I left off in this video. Now, going back to what I think I was talking about earlier, and that's if you were waitlisted or rejected from UW initially and you are again waitlisted or rejected, but you really absolutely need to go to UW, have you considered taking a gap year? Think about why your application wasn't good enough to get into UW in the first place. Maybe all you're missing is some more experience. By taking a gap year, you're able to spend that time towards developing your skills and you can pursue a research experience or an internship or even a job. Those few months before the next application period are so crucial for you to develop the skills that they want to see on your application. For example, let's say you are a senior in high school, you just applied to the UW and you got waitlisted or rejected. But UW is your dream school. You have thought about it your entire life and you need to go there. And let's say you absolutely desire to go into computer science. If that's true, and let's say you get waitlisted or rejected again during that second review period, use that gap year to develop your skills in a bunch of different coding languages. Become super good at Python or Java or HTML or C++. Learn how to use Unix, learn how to use Jupyter. Build your own website. Reach out to different companies and say, hey, look, I'm just trying to get some experience with coding. Let me build you a website for free. Look at a bunch of different opportunities available online. Honestly, it doesn't matter if it's paid or not because what you need is experience. And if you're really not willing to put in that work, then I hate to tell you, but there's probably a reason why you didn't get into UW in the first place. UW students are super driven, super motivated, and if you want to be there, you gotta put in the work. So considering all of those things, let's say now you're still interested in appealing. Here is what you're gonna do. There is an online form for UW that you need to fill out, and I will list it in the description box down below. You need to upload an updated transcript, and this is another important thing to consider. You cannot let your grades slip in between the period of that first review and that second review. If your grades go even more down and you were already waitlisted or rejected the first time, there's almost zero chance you're not going to get into UW. So stay on top of your grades, figure out a way to improve your grades from that initial review period. I don't care if it takes reaching out to your teachers to say, hey, I really want to get into UW, please help me figure out how to boost my grade. You just got to do it. If you're not willing to do that, you don't deserve to go to UW. Number 2, the body of your appeal must clearly explain why you deserve to be reconsidered. There are many different things you can talk about. You gotta figure out how to convince them that you deserve to be at this school. You either need to bring up something new or you really need to explain why everything you submitted before is worthy enough for you to attend the school. Because think about it, they already saw those documents and they already reviewed that application. You don't want to ask to be reevaluated and just say the same things you already did in your initial application. They already thought it wasn't good enough. If you think they missed something that's super important, definitely bring it to their attention. Hey, did you all forget I spent 4 years at this extracurricular club in high school and I eventually worked my way up to a leadership position where I did X, Y, and Z, and this impacted other people by X, Y, and Z, and I got blank, 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 blah, 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 all that stuff. One thing to note is that the University of Washington's Office of Admissions doesn't accept interview petitions or in-person appeals. So you gotta figure out a way to make your writing in your appeal stand out. There are so many writing resources available. Some of them are free, especially here on YouTube. You are also free to reach me at this email right here in case you want me to review your appeal, since I am an English tutor and I've had so much background experience in writing. Now here are the specific issues that you need to address in your appeal. You should really just focus on any information you think is most important. However, this is just a list of things that you can talk about. Why do you think you are the perfect candidate for being a student at the University of Washington? What makes you stand out in comparison to everyone in your town, everyone in Seattle, everyone in Washington, everyone in the United States, and then everyone internationally? There are a bunch of international students at UW. You are competing with the entire world. What makes you stand out? If you do not have an answer to that, figure it out. Maybe that could be your arc where you say, I don't have an answer to that question, and UW is going to be the perfect place for me to figure that out. Next, why do you need to be at the University of Washington at this time? Why is it important that you get in now for yourself and for the school versus getting in a year from now, or getting in 10 years from now, or not getting in at all? How does the University of Washington benefit from having you at their school? Because in the grand scheme of things, if you're not going to be able to contribute as a student to the school, whether that's by doing research or having an on-campus job or being involved in student organizations, if you aren't doing any of that, how are you going to benefit UW? You're going to use up their resources and then leave after 4 years? Why would they want to accept you just based on that? Next, if your overall academic record, generally talking about your high school transcript, is not as strong as it could be in comparison to all the other very intelligent applicants that are applying to UW, why do you think this is not an indicator of how you will perform at UW? It doesn't matter if you have bad grades in high school, okay? Once you get into college, you can be an entirely different person. I know people that did not do well in high school and thrived in college, got amazing grades. I was unfortunately not one of those people. I was a stellar student in high school and it didn't really work out for me in college. Anyway, UW recognizes that who you were in high school doesn't necessarily translate to who you will be in college. In general, but also as a student. You can be a stellar student that gets the most amazing grades in college and have the worst GPA in high school. What you need to do is explain, if you got poor grades, why that won't be an issue when you go into college. UW is cutthroat. It's competitive. The classes are hard. They do not want to accept you if they believe that you're not going to perform well. in the best interest of you, honestly. You don't want to go from 4 years of getting horrible grades to another 4 years of getting horrible grades. You are going to have such a low self-esteem and thinking that you're not smart because you didn't perform well academically. So what you need to do is explain your academic record fully. Tell the admissions officers what's going to be different when you go to UW. Why are you now going to be a successful student? And honestly, that doesn't mean achieving a perfect 4.0 GPA. You can be an amazing student at the UW and have a horrible GPA. What are you going to take out of your college experience? For example, I really don't have the best GPA in college, I'll be honest. But that doesn't mean I'm a bad student, considering I've had over 4 research positions here thus far. In astronomy, physics, astrobiology, and 2 with NASA, you would think, whoa, she must be the perfect 4.0 student. That is not true. So what I'm trying to get at here is you don't have to say you're going to be this perfect 4.0 student. Say how you're going to be a good student in other ways, either by getting involved in student organizations, having an on-campus job, getting involved in a ton of research, sharing your experiences about UW on YouTube, whatever the case might be. There are so many ways to go about this question. You can also talk about certain circumstances and hardships you've experienced, but I personally don't like writing about those in admission essays because I don't think that is a good focus point. Like, oh, I've suffered so much. Oh my gosh, please let me in because of this, blah, blah, blah. Not to come off as inconsiderate. I'm just saying that the admissions team does not want to hear another sob story. They've been through it. From what I've seen from the people who submitted sob stories, they don't get accepted to the things that they want. That's just the tea. That's just the truth. Unless you're able to only focus on it just a little bit so that you're able to transform your writing into, hey, look, this happened, but look where I'm at now. Look how much I've grown from that. Look how much stronger I've become. Look what I will continue to do in the future because of that experience. Focus on the positives, the moving forward, the inspirational aspect, rather than being like, oh, woe is me, please accept me. But related to this, you could talk about personal or family hardships like illnesses or if there was a death in the family, there's a loss of income, there's disabilities, you have family or cultural barriers, your environment changed. All of these things, including a bunch more, can totally affect your academic record. Let's say both your parents lost their job due to the pandemic and now you no longer had a place to stay because rent was too high. Clearly, this will affect your ability to perform well in school. That is totally understandable, so just make sure that they're aware of that. You can also address if any of your academic interests change. Let's say you applied to UW as a direct admit to computer science and got rejected to both. Now let's say you apply the second time and you're like, actually, I want to go into an open major and it's this, and here's how I'm passionate about it, and here's how I'll contribute to the school. You might have a better chance of getting in. One thing you cannot include in your appeal is letters of recommendation. They don't accept those. Now, in terms of when you're going to be notified, the admissions team says they prioritize those appeals, so you should probably hear within 2 to 4 weeks. It might be a little longer or it might even be a little bit shorter, but I think 2 to 4 weeks is definitely the standard time. And to wrap up this video, if you ended up appealing and got rejected again and there's no chance of you going to that school this year, it is not the end of the world. I will continue to say it again and again, but you do not need college to be successful in life. There are many people in this world that have become successful without college, or have admitted that college is not what made them successful. Billionaires is a huge example. CEOs, entrepreneurs, those are kind of like the stereotypical successful people that don't need college, but you can totally be successful in other ways. I don't think you need to go to college to be a super successful farmer. Farming is a lot of work, okay? But if you know how to do it, boom, good for you. All your produce can go to the grocery stores, boom, that's money. And even if your interest is not in making money, you are totally able to be successful in other ways. Living your life to the fullest, living a meaningful life, you are successful. You have succeeded in the game of life, and congratulations. Because there are some people that go to college, graduate with a degree they don't care about, they're working a 9 to 5 that they hate, they have to stay overtime because their boss won't let them leave. They have to bring their work from the office to their house. And then they get married and have the stereotypical family life when they settle down. And then at the end of their life, they might be miserable. And then they die. In the case for me, I did not apply to a bunch of schools. I'm originally from Illinois and I was super set on going to the University of It was my dream school, it was my parents' dream school for me. And the only other schools I applied to were UW, University of California at and University of Texas at Austin. and I guess Iowa, but I didn't pay an application fee and they accepted me within like a day. But I'm sure y'all know the University of Chicago is so hard to get into. I got rejected. I didn't get waitlisted, I got straight up rejected. And I didn't really have a lot of options from there because my second choice was University of California at San Diego, and they were gonna make me pay $66,000 in out-of-state tuition with no aid or scholarships or anything like that, so. And I definitely wasn't gonna go to Iowa, so really I was down to two options. UT Austin and UW. So while UW wasn't my first choice, I am so glad everything worked out the way that it did. If I didn't go to UW, I wouldn't have joined the Filipino club, I wouldn't have joined the boxing team, I wouldn't have joined the League of Astronomers, I wouldn't have met all of the people associated with those student organizations. I wouldn't have gotten the research positions that I did where I got to work with certain mentors, which led to even more research experiences, which led to my internship at NASA. I may have not gotten my internship at NASA if I went to a different school or didn't go to school at all. I wouldn't have gotten my job at ECBG. I wouldn't have met my current boyfriend, which I am now buying a house with. There are just so many things that wouldn't have happened if I didn't go to UW. So I think the universe was trying to tell me, like, you belonged here. So even though I am not the biggest fan of UW or college in general as a third-year student right now, my opinions have definitely changed. But if I had a time machine to go back, I wouldn't change a thing. I don't regret any of it at all, because it made me who I am today, and I am so excited for my future. So just remember that being waitlisted or rejected is not the end of the world. It's just the beginning. That sounded so horrible. Not the beginning of failure. It is the beginning of a new journey for you. If it didn't work out at a certain school, it wasn't meant to happen. It simply was not. The universe has better things for you. Unless you're a horrible person and this is some sort of karma, then that's on you. That is the end of the video. I hope y'all enjoyed, and let me know if you have any questions related to UW, college, whatever the case may be. My comment section is always open. And again, I would like to give a big congratulations to those of you that got into their colleges, and specifically if you got into UW. If you're going next year, y'all better say hi. Y'all better say hi. That is the end of the video, and I'll see you all tomorrow. Bye.